Hello, Nate Streeter, Paperboy Printing and Distribution, StreetSmart Marketing. Again, here with Steve Lundgren.
Hey, folks, how's it going?
And we're continuing the conversation about the pumpkin plan by Mike
Michalowicz.
Thank you, Steve. I can never get that. Today, we're pretty much talking all about customers. And there's so much in this book about customers. Some of it is sort of opposite of cliches, like you'll see there in point C and D, and we'll get right into that. Yeah. And some of it's probably things you already have heard, but we'll dive right into this. Yeah. Mike talks a lot about the best seed. You know, his analogy is that you need a good seed, you know, to develop this giant pumpkin, if you haven't read the book. And I love the way he talks about your best seed is really where your core competency and your best customers intersect.
Yeah.
And this second part of this, now a lot of people understand the core competencies part.
Right.
You know, Steve's good at painting or whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
But sometimes I think what people often forget is that second part.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, you could be great at something but really not have a good business.
Exactly.
And often that second part is what's going to give you a good hint towards whether or not you're in the right space.
Right. So it's like the specific need has to meet with what their need is.
Exactly. Yeah. And going back to a few of the things that we've have these other presentations that we've made, you know, some of that has to do with the way you package. Some of it has to do with our first one where it talked a little bit about finding the right kinds of people who might share your same immutable laws. So, you know, there's just a lot of different connections with this. But you need to figure out where your core competencies. So really what follows that question is, okay, Nate, you're talking all about this. How do I really know who my best customers are?
Yeah, there you go.
You know, that should be the natural question that comes out of that. I can kind of understand my core competencies. I'm developing those. I understand where I fit or my unique selling proposition or what's the way that Mike talks about it, your unique area of innovation. I know people package that all different ways, but they're all kind of the same thing as your core competency.
Yep.
But how do I know who my best customers are? One key factor is the cringe factor.
Cringe factor? What is that?
So Sherry and I, you know, we have this a little bit. Some clients, when they call or email us, and you guys probably have this too, and you just cringe a little bit because they're that customer. They take way a lot of energy. You know, they have ridiculous expectations. They often, my experience is, don't spend that much money with you. So, you know, I think one of the easy ones is, you know, do you like doing business with them?
Right.
You know, and the second part of it is, does the profit match the energy that you put in?
Yeah.
Because in some cases it does. Like we have a few clients where they take a lot of our energy, but they also are big clients of ours. We sort of are willing to you know, that's a good trade-off, right?
That's a fair exchange.
Yeah. Right. But you have a lot of clients we've had, particularly in the past, where they won't want a tremendous amount of energy and are willing to spend virtually nothing with us.
Right.
And that just doesn't work long term.
Yeah.
And, you know, that fits right into C here, which is you can't make every client number one. I love that because so many of you guys I meet with you and you have this philosophy, and I love the passion behind it. You want to make every client number one. You want to be the very best for every client. And I love that passion, and I always sort of am hesitant to squash it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I realize is, no, you don't have an unlimited amount of energy.
It's just not realistic.
Right. You don't have an unlimited amount of resources. So the truth is you can't make every client number one. And Mike does a good job in this book and using that pumpkin analogy. You have to cut off some of the small pumpkins.
Yeah. And in fact, you'll actually hurt your number one client if you try to make everybody number one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So figure out, you know, and it's not always just one client. You know, for some of you that might be the top 10. For some of you it might be a category of client. You know, so don't get hung up on the numbers. But the question is, who should you be spending the most energy on? Figure that out and start prioritizing them.
Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't mean that you get rid of all the other ones. Sometimes it does. You do need to cut some people off.
But if you make your list, you may analyze it and figure out that there's somebody that needs to go.
Exactly. So, you know, I think from that standpoint, yes, it is in some cases that you're cutting somebody off, but sometimes it just means you're deprioritizing them a bit.
Yeah, right.
And what I found is sometimes when you deprioritize people, they will sometimes they'll just sort of recognize, no, I'm not the most important. But that makes sense. I don't spend that much with them. You see what I'm saying? So I found there's a whole group of people that are willing to have that happen. And then there's a group that start throwing a hissy fit.
Right.
Well, often that's because they really weren't the right, they didn't intersect with that core competency and their expectation. You see what I'm saying? So those are the people you absolutely want to cut off.
Yeah, and so really the outcome of this is really great, because you wanted to match up the kind of the profit level and the energy, and by making some boundaries, you got some clients that were maybe a problem that you're reining in a bit, and they'll have to start behaving differently, and other ones that were really a pain in the butt, I mean, you'll get rid of them.
Exactly.
So it's got a win-win situation.
You might say, Nate, how do I get rid of clients? Well, there's a couple different ways. I think the best way, and the way that I've utilized over the years, is you push them towards other people. You have partnerships with other people that you trust that are better at, with that kind of client.
Have the core competency that fits their needs
exactly. Better. And so you say, I'm not the right fit here. You should be working with this person. They'll be able to help you so much more. And people usually are really appreciative of that. So, I think I told you, Steve, I've had a few clients who've come back to me and said, no, Nate, I really need you. Please, please, please. And, we've made a few exceptions. But, overall, though, you have to figure out how to prioritize.
Yeah.
The last thing that sort of fits into this is the customer is not always right.
Yeah.
If you have a strategy like that, now I get it. You guys are wanting to meet the client's needs. I love it. Put the customer first. I love that. But you have to realize that there's a whole group of people out there that have completely unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
They walk into Walmart and they expect Barley's service.
Yeah.
And this can't happen. You can't charge $1.88 for Fig Newtons and get good service. So, they have these unrealistic expectations. And so that's partly why the customer can't always be right.
Yeah.
My experience too is they don't have good perspective. Like, they really don't understand, for me, especially with our flyer delivery business, a lot of people we work with, they just haven't done that much marketing before. Right. So they come in with completely unrealistic expectations. They think $1,000 can completely transform their business.
Right.
And the truth is, to brag a little bit, we've had situations where $1,000 we have transformed businesses, but in most cases it's not that simple.
Yeah.
And so they're coming in with completely wrong expectations. So no, the customer's not right in that. If you have a budget of $1,000 and you need 10 new students at your preschool or your school, I can tell you right now that is never going to happen in a million years unless you've got some kind of guerrilla, efforts that you're going to put together. Where you're getting energy and time from your volunteers for free.
Yeah.
You just can't make that happen. So the customer isn't always right.
Yeah.
And it's good to create situations where they're having realistic expectations, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in the coming presentations here. So now, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, we'll hit that more coming up.
You might say, gosh, I have no clue what to do with this. I've got this client list a mile long, and I have no clue how to make, all of this make sense. Don't worry. We're here to help. Yeah. Give us a call. Send us an email. Touch base with us on Twitter.
Right.
If you've got questions, obviously everything is confidential. If you want to send over your client list and say, hey, this is what they're doing business with us. This is our cringe factor. And maybe, start really diving into that. We can help you with that.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even a client list like we talked about. It could be categories of clients. You just need to start thinking strategically about this.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, if you can think strategically about this, it's the difference between somebody successful in your industry and people who aren't.
Yeah.
So you got to start thinking strategically about these things. Give us a call, send us an email, Twitter. You can hit us on LinkedIn too. We're in all the places that you could hit us.
Yeah.
So,
if you like this, hit the like button or subscribe to the channel. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks so much.